Just to say yes, thank you very much. OK, we're going to be discussing Chelsea, but first, Ross Barkley, a player that you know pretty well. The question, first and foremost, is how much has Sarri improved Ross Barkley as a player? Now, just before we come on to that, Phil, the teenage Ross Barkley that you came across, what did you make of him when you first saw him in action?
Well, I played in a... I was coming back from an injury and I played in an under-23 game against West Ham. And I was in central midfield next to him, and after the game I said to... I went home and I said to my brother, I said, today I've played with a player that reminds me of Brian Robson. Brian Robson, Roy Keane, Steven Gerrard. He was absolutely unbelievable. And he got into the Everton team early, progressed, dipped, went out on loan, dipped again, got into the England team, went to a major tournament, didn't play, and then got his move to Chelsea. And I think whenever I spoke to him, Ross, I always thought that he was always playing within himself. He was always just doing enough. He would play through games and get 6, 7 out of 10, think, oh, that's OK. When I saw a superstar in there, and you know, you see the Dele Allis, the Jack Wilsheres over the years, he can be every bit as good as them if he really believes in it. And I felt that what he had to do is play with people like Eden Hazard, Jorginho, Kante, and actually train with them day in, day out. And when people say about the question there, has he improved under Sarri? He's actually improved with training every day, I'm looking at the names here, Fabregas, Pedro, world-class players, played in the biggest games, how they conduct themselves off the field, how they train. And I think what you're seeing now, I'm not seeing a player now that's surprising me. I'm seeing now a player that's actually fulfilling his potential and actually delivering on the pitch. And people were raving at the weekend about his performance against Southampton. Oh, Ross Barkley's the new this player. I actually texted him after the game and said, Ross, that's just normal for you, that performance. There's more to come. I mean, Hazard said he could be one of the best players in the world, and everyone said, wow, that's some statement. I thought that at 16. But when you see people at 16, 17, 18, like Rooney just kicks on. He's never really kicked on, I think, and this is his moment. I've got every confidence that he could be that player that he needs to be. And I think training with the best players will help him. Well,
I mean, you talk about, I mean, the kind of exalted company that he was mentioned in. Brian Robson, you said. I mean, Gary Lineker compared him to what Paul Gascoigne was and could have been. I mean, obviously, it's a hypothetical question from yesteryear, but when you're talking about the players that he plays in, the current, perhaps, crop of world-class players that you're talking about, the likes of Eden Hazard, is it as much about the team that he's playing with as about his potential as a player?
A bit of both, really. I think when people say about Gascoigne, when you think of Paul Gascoigne, you think about those surges past players when, you know, 2 defenders and he'd go through the middle of them and just barge them out the way with his arms and his elbows. And we've got clips of Barkley doing that. And I think
we have, Phil, and
we have, and that's the cue for the. But I think with Ross Barkley, it's doing it consistently. We talked about Pogba before, consistent performances. I think with Barkley, it's the same. Look, I mean, this run, deliver. Forget all the comparisons, deliver. And I think with Sarri, what Sarri's done to him, he's simplified his game, told him to play 1-2 touches, and make sure in the final third you make an impact. Add goal scoring to your repertoire, and actually go into a big club with the pressure that you have to deliver, and that's what's happened.
I mean, did he live up to the hype that he had at Goodison Park with these figures?
Well, I think the 2015-16 season when Roberto Martinez came in, I think that was his best season, because I think what he had with Roberto Martinez, he had a manager that understood him and gave him the freedom. But I actually think, like, looking at him back then, he was almost that player that the team was built around. I think he's better than that. Man United wasn't built around Brian Robson. You know, Tottenham didn't build their team around Gascoigne. He was just part of a team, and he was allowed to do things with the ball that no others could do. With Barkley, he can be part of a team. And I don't think those numbers in terms of goals and assists are anything like the ability that he should have had.
Maybe slightly similarity with an early graphic that we showed earlier on, wasn't it? I mean, Paul Pogba-like in
definitely, absolutely, definitely, where you think for 45 minutes he was world-class, and then maybe the inconsistencies come in. I actually think what he's done this season is the consistency under Sarri and playing at Chelsea has helped him massively.
You talk about where Richard Sarri's been playing Ross Barkley and the kind of output that he's getting from him. I mean, when we look at his average position within the Chelsea side, is that his most effective?
Yeah, well, if you looked at all those clips, you saw the goal at the end. Every goal was from this side. Every run was gravitating towards the left-hand side, because I think what Ross has got, he's got 2 great feet. And he likes to drag the ball with his right foot. Drag the ball with his right foot, cut in or go outside. And he's got a really good step over as well. A bit like myself. So
especially in those shoes as well.
He likes to play on this side. I think having Jorginho there helps him a lot. The system that Sarri's got, who plays on the left-hand side for Chelsea? Hazard towards this side, Alonso, who likes... So this little triangle of these 3 players, I think they're all footballers, all technical, and it's almost as if Hazard said, just give me the ball, I'll give it you back. And the touches he's getting are fantastic.
Does he then become a straight swap for Kovacic, or...?
I think that's the position, yeah. I think on this side, Kante and Jorginho playing every game. I think it's the rotation then with Kovacic in terms of... because they are similar type players.
I mean... as you're saying about the positions that he finds himself in, the way that it manages to affect a game, I mean, is this what we saw in the Southampton game?
His game. He is an 8 to 10 goal a season. At the moment, he's 6 to 8. Similar to Pogba, but I think if he starts getting to 10, he becomes world class. If he stays at 6 to 8, he's just cruising along. For the ability that this lad's got, he was the best young player that I've ever seen. He's the best young player I've ever seen, and I just hope he fulfills his potential. So
you can see quite tangible improvement under his manager at Chelsea, Mauricio Sarri?
Yeah, because he's got a manager that's actually working with him, he's got a manager that believes in him, and he's getting opportunities. The style of Chelsea now is far better than the style he had under Antonio Conte when he first arrived. OK,
your next question. What do you think Chelsea is lacking to be the best team in the Premier League? From Fargo.
Simple question, that. I think a centre-forward. A centre-forward that can score 20 goals. I think if they had a centre-forward that scored 20 goals, along with 15 to 20 from Hazard, 10 Pedro, they win the league. They win the league. It's as clear as that, and we see from the graphics here...
It does seem to be fairly straightforward, doesn't it?
Yeah, the title winners always have a striker. Yeah, and I'm going to single out Diego Costa there, because if Diego Costa is in this team, 20 goals in 2016 and 20 goals in 2014. They win the league. My house is going on Chelsea to win the league. But without that, I think they've got good centre-forwards, nice centre-forwards, but they haven't got that ruthlessness. You think of Drogba, Aguero, Van Persie, you're thinking of ruthless centre-forwards. And I don't think Chelsea have got that, which means that Hazard has to score 40 goals this season. And I'm not so sure he's got 40 goals in him, so that's where I think Chelsea will fall short.
Do you think, I mean, there's a school of thought, obviously, with Yaya Toure, he got 20 that season, but you had Sergio Aguero backing him up with 17.
Yeah.
Dzeko, 16. You need to spread... If one player's not getting it, you need to spread it around, basically.
Spread, and that's where you think the likes of Pedro, Willian, Hazard, Barkley, Kovacic have got to come up with double figures, because if they don't, they'll not win the league. You know, Chelsea could be the nearest challengers, but if they don't find a goal scorer like Morata that can kick on and score 15 to 20, then they will just probably finish in the top 4.
OK, Eden Hazard has said that he's not going to be leaving Chelsea in January. Here's a question on said player. Chelsea can definitely challenge for the Premier League, but the question is, what happens if Eden Hazard is out injured?
Oh, that's a difficult one.
Nosedive.
Yeah, well, I mean, Willian and Pedro are good players, really good players, but they don't have that special star quality of an Eden Hazard, and I think that's the problem when you have such a good player in. I'll drive you there now because I don't want you in my club. So it's always dangerous to go away on international duty and say, do you know what, I want to go to Real Madrid. It'll be interesting to see if he keeps scoring goals. I think the Chelsea fans will put up with it. If he just dips, gets injured. He could suffer a little bit of criticism or be put under a little bit of pressure.
Isn't there that slight... I mean, everyone talks about the Ronaldo example. Give me one more season, then I'll let you go.
Yeah.
Do you see that being the case?
Yeah, but I think with Ronaldo, they said that to Ronaldo. Ronaldo obviously had that agreement, but that was just between him and Sir Alex Ferguson. He didn't come out in the press every 3 months and say, I'm going to Real Madrid in 6 months' time. Even though people thought it, he showed respect to the club that he was at. And I think with Eden Hazard, he may just be going around this the wrong way. Because, you know what, if he said he's not leaving in January, then he's got another 6, 7 months of playing for a club that's actually been fantastic for him.
OK, your Twitter questions now, just to really finish Phil off. OK, among the top 6 clubs, which do you think have got the best 2 strikers?
Top 6 clubs, which do you think? I think At the same club, you mean? I think City, Aguero and Jesus, I think are good.
Do you look at purely numbers or their effects on the game?
Both really. I mean, you look at Tottenham. Tottenham have got one. Llorente, I don't think he is. United have got Lukaku. I suppose if you think Martial, Lukaku and Rashford, United have got 3 expensive centre forwards. But I think if I was thinking about centre forwards, I think maybe City with the 2 that they've got are probably the best.
Well, but I mean, from the point of view of the Liverpool side, Mo Salah, I mean, are we going to see him get back to? Or Sturridge has come back to form, hasn't he?
Sturridge, Firmino.
Or come back into the picture, sorry.
When I see Firmino, I don't actually see a centre forward, but he obviously does a great job for them. Salah's dipped. He's dipped, and he was always going to dip. He just looks like he's just off the pace a little bit, fitness-wise, after the World Cup. Not really recovered from the injury in the Champions League final. And I would just wonder whether he just needs to go back to being a team player again rather than thinking of scoring goals, because the goals will come. He's got that much quality. And it'll be interesting to see what type of season he has.
OK, next question. Let's take a look at this one. This is obviously from your best mate, Phil. Phil Neville is the most...